Hey friends, this is Sean Washburn from YourExcelTutor.com, and you're watching 30 Tips in 30 Days. And for today's tip, we're going to be talking about the table function, the table feature. And we've talked about this before. If you've got a table like this, a table of data, I usually still like to use freezing panes and using filters to, we talked about that in previous tips, to be able to make this as functional as possible. But there's another tool that they've already put into Excel where you can just click on here and it'll do a lot of stuff, and I'm going to show you that to you. So if you've got a table of data like this, you can click anywhere in here and then go to Insert, the Insert tab, and click Table. And the first thing it's going to do is try to guess and grab the whole table. So if it's missing something that's part of your table, you can change that here. You can click this, fly out, and then go make sure it's got everything captured. In this case, it does have everything captured, so we'll hit OK. And we're going to leave this checked because we do have a header row up here, and that it was guessing that, and that's accurate. So we'll hit OK. And the first thing you'll see is, wow, it changed the look of the table. There's drop downs, a bunch of stuff happened all at once. So just to go through a couple of those things, the look. Let's start with the look. What's nice is a couple things. One, once you can change the look of that table, that's the default right there, but you can go over here to this drop down and check down any of these things you want, so you can change the whole look pretty quickly. And I do like that part of it. Another thing that's slick is if you click here, you'll notice it's got these alternating bars here. They call it banded rows. If you click in any of these and you insert, so if I go like that and I insert a row, you'll notice that the colors automatically update. So that's pretty nice. There's ways to do that with conditional formatting, but it's a little more complicated. So this is an easier way to do it. So I do like that. That's pretty cool. So if you delete this back out, that's going to come back like it was. So you're not going to end up with, usually if you did this on your own and you inserted a row, you would end up with, two blues next to each other or two whites or whatever like that. So that's nice. You can look up in here, and there are options. We're not going to go over these, but summarizing with pivot table, you can remove duplicates, which is really helpful if you have a lot of data and some of it might be duplicates, and you can just use that. We'll maybe go over that in another tip. Convert to range. What that's going to do is if you decide, hey, I don't really want this thing to be identified as a table anymore, you can hit convert to range, and the colors will still stay there, but it won't think of it as a table. So right now, if I click off of here, that table tab goes away. If I click inside, the table tab comes back. So that tells you, and also here, if you go look at this drop down, it already named this table 3. So as soon as it did that, it named this whole range. So if I click here, it's going to highlight that whole table. So a couple other things here. There's these slicers you can play around with, and that basically just makes it's almost like having a pivot table. It makes it an easy way to click and select and filter things more visually. You can export the table, but we're going to kind of look over here real quick. You've got these different options that make it easy to change the look. So banded rows, you can unclick that if you didn't like that. You'll notice the different options that changes in there too. You've also got the header row. We're gonna say nope. Okay. You've got total row, which will add a total at the bottom. You've got first and last banded columns, which is similar to the rows. It just kind of makes it look a little weird. If you didn't have the rows, then that would make more sense. I don't think it works to really have both of them in there. It's kind of confusing. But if you'd rather have your columns banded like that, it'll do the same thing. And then the filter button, it puts that in by default. I usually would leave that in there because that's going to give you your sort and filtering functionality. So that's just a quick overview. This thing I would do is say, next time you've got a table like that, go ahead and try, a table of data. Go ahead and try using the table, insert table, versus doing stuff on your own, and just kind of see which one you like. It does have a lot of things that are helpful. I tend to. Why I don't use it a lot of times though is because of how it sort of takes over. I kind of like to have a little more freedom in that. One thing it does do here, so you've got these headers. When I scroll down, you'll notice these headers go up into the column header up there. but only while the table is still there. As soon as I get past the table, it kind of goes back to what it was. But you can also do this with, you can still add a view freeze panes like we did in a previous tip, and just have that freeze pane in there. So if I was going to use the table function, I would probably do it like that, where I still have it frozen and have my filters, and then have the ability to still change the look of my table however I want it. So let's quick look at the table. Like I say, if you go in there, explore these other options, play around with them and see what you like. And hope you enjoy that tip. Check in tomorrow for another one.